The event was a significant once-in-a-lifetime ceremony, the Covenant of God. A newborn baby is addressed by a divine being who congratulates him on his birth and offers to form a pact. He recalls being born into this important ceremony to make a pact with a god whose name he had never heard. The god declared that the child had a prosperous future ahead and was given immense power. He was told that he would take care of the rest. And just like that, the contract with the minor god was made, and it was over. Despite being promised a prosperous future, Yuno recalls spending his childhood trying to control his overwhelming powers. Because of this, he hadn't trained hard enough. He was brought back to the present when someone called out to him, "Oi, Yuno." A fellow student labels him with the word incompetence, exclaiming that the academy isn't a trash can. Another student scoffs that he's no better than a mere commoner with a sword and magic. The student loudly questions what kind of mistake led to Yuno's enrollment at the academy. Yuno remains silent, thinking it's not like he wanted to enroll. He stood before the gates of the royal capital Ferris Magical Knights Academy, an elite institution for the most promising students. Maru yells at Yuno, asking if he's even listening, while Yuno imagines a peaceful life in the countryside. Yuno apologizes to Maru, explaining that since he passed the entrance exams, they will be classmates. A girl questions Maru's tone, but her friend reminds her that familial statuses are nullified on campus. Maru sneers that for the sake of their childhood friendship, he'll remind Yuno of his place. He accuses Yuno of being incompetent and cheating his way into the academy, rallying the others against being in the same class as him. The other students voice their agreement with Maru. Yuno simply sighs at their behavior. Alice steps forward, telling them to listen and asserting that Yuno passed his exams legitimately with his own abilities. She reminds Maru that as childhood friends, they know each other best, and Yuno's intelligence compensates for his lack of skill in sword or magic arts. Maru scoffs at Alice, questioning her right to act so high and mighty, reminding everyone that she was the one who took top placement in the exam. Alice cleverly suggests a quick test to compare their exam scores, questioning how Maru could torment Yuno with his own barely passing score. Maru is left flustered and speechless by her comeback. Another student shouts out, speculating that the daughter of the Marquis has a crush on Sir Knight Yuno. Yuno reflects that Maru's actions are in vain, as he's never seen Alice lose a battle of words. Alice is visibly flustered by the student's outburst. Yuno is momentarily speechless at the turn of events. The other students begin to whisper amongst themselves about Alice and Yuno's relationship. Yuno reflects that while he could handle being despised alone, Alice's involvement changes everything, especially given his father's threat of banishment if he failed to enter the academy. He recalls his father's harsh order, given in acknowledgement of his perceived incompetence. Yuno remembers not minding the idea of being banished from the house. However, his elder sister's unwavering belief in him compelled him to take the entrance exam. Having met the passing conditions, he now stands ready to face the academy. A teacher enters the classroom and tells everyone to go to their seats. He gestures for Yuno and Maru to move along and not just stand there. Maru scoffs in annoyance as he walks away. Yuno walks away from the confrontation, thinking he's off the hook for the time being. He takes his seat next to Alice and apologizes for the trouble. He sincerely thanks her for sticking up for him. Alice tells him it's okay and not to worry about it. The teacher stands at the podium and congratulates all the newly enrolled students. The teacher introduces himself as Solil and announces he will be taking care of them. Maru immediately interrupts, claiming someone was mistakenly enrolled. When Solil asks who he is referring to, Maru points out Yuno Astaroth. Maru demands an explanation for why someone who can't use a sword or magic is in the academy. Solil consults his notes and confirms that Yuno's score on the practical examination is not good. However, Solil reveals that Yuno was the first student in the academy's history to achieve a perfect score on the written exam. Maru is shocked speechless by the news. The rest of the class murmurs in disbelief. Yuno accepts the fact nonchalantly, while Alice laughs softly in amusement. Solil suggests that Maru should learn from Yuno and study harder, then moves on to explain the academy's rules. Solil writes the rules on the board. Social status is null on campus, use of swords and magic is prohibited outside designated areas, and covenants with gods must be performed with care. He emphasizes that the covenant is a serious, once-in-a-lifetime ritual and that a god's power is proportional to their fame. Therefore, one's destiny is determined by the god they make a pact with. Yuno reflects that the old man from his memory wasn't mentioned in any literature, making him question his own situation. Alice raises her hand, announcing that she has a question for Mr. Solil. Alice asks if it is possible for people to have made pacts with multiple gods. Solil confirms that it is possible, but it's an extremely rare case. He then suggests that it would be easier to hear about covenants from the people themselves. The other students eagerly anticipate what's coming next. Yuno is confused by the sudden development. Alice turns to Yuno with a sad expression, telling him he might not want to watch this. Yuno is confused by her sorrowful warning. A girl with long, light hair walks to the front of the room. He realizes it didn't take long for him to understand her meaning. A mysterious girl with long white hair stands before the class. Yuno watches her with a serious expression. The girl introduces herself to the class as a god with no name. The students react with a mix of surprise and amusement. Yuno is stunned, realizing she is a nameless god. Solil tells the class that many of them should already know of her as a famous god at the academy and that it's a privilege to hear from her. Another student scoffs, finding the situation amusing. The god asks if the students know of her existence as a stray god. Maru mockingly replies that he knows she's a weak god with no name. Yuno explains that the benefits from nameless gods are insignificant and advises his classmates not to be fooled into forming a covenant with them. He adds that a god must always respond when their name is called, a rule that can be used to avoid unwanted pacts. Maru then turns to the god and asks for her name. The god hesitates to answer. She finally admits to the class that she does not have a name. Yuno feels sorry for her, finding the demonstration cruel. The other students laugh, wondering what the point of this exercise is. Maru points out that if one were to make a pact, they could name the god whatever they liked. The god confirms this is correct. Maru then slyly offers to make a pact with her. The god is surprised and asks if he is really willing to make a pact with her. Yuno realizes he lied and wonders what he should do to make the pact. He tells Maru to stop, explaining the pact ritual of kneeling and kissing her hand. The god tries to dissuade Maru, reminding him that she has no name and offers little benefit and that he already has a pact with another god. Maru sneers and declares that her name will be Incompetent God. He adds that a name like that is perfect for her, and he doesn't even have to give her a real one. He thanks the incompetent god for the practice, declaring he's now prepared for the real thing. With a sad smile, the god replies that he is welcome. Yuno slams his hands on his desk and tells Maru to quit making a jest of this. Maru encourages the other boys to give it a try. Alice seethes, thinking that mankind is not worthy. She slams her fist down, furious at the disrespect shown to God. Yuno's face hardens with a look of intense determination. He turns to Alice and asks if she knew about this situation. Alice explains that there is a famous stray god at the academy who has been unable to form a pact with anyone for 12 years. She senses his resolve and warns him not to get any weird ideas. Alice tells Yuno that as long as he can attend the academy and make a pact with a god, he will be reborn, but urges him to wait. Yuno smiles warmly and thanks Alice, saying she truly knows him through and through. As Yuno starts to walk away, Alice calls out that she's his friend and begs him to reconsider. She pleads for him not to go. Maru smirks, telling Yuno he had better run. Yuno suddenly strikes Maru with a powerful punch to the gut. The nameless god looks on in shock. Alice is equally stunned by Yuno's sudden action. Maru is knocked off his feet, his tongue lolling out in a daze. Maru lies defeated on the floor as Yuno stands over him. He hits the ground hard, completely knocked out. The other students watch in stunned silence. Yuno reflects that, to be honest, he was entirely content with living his life being despised as incompetent. He thinks back to the god Zeus, who gave him this power, and how he continued to hide his ability to avoid disaster, devoting himself to being seen as incompetent. Yuno approaches the nameless god and kneels before her. He announces that as of today, for the first time in his life, he wishes to use his power for someone else. The nameless god is startled and confused by his declaration. He kneels and formally addresses her as "my god." Yuno smiles and tells her he wants to see her smiling face, asking her to make a pact with him. He thinks to himself that this was the only thing that got him started. The other students are confused, wondering if he really means it and if this is another trick. He holds out his hand and asks her if she would like to give it a try. He thinks that if a god's fame is proportional to their power, then with his strength, he could make this stray guard's fame rise. His primary motivation is that he just doesn't want to see her sad face. She accepts his offer, placing her hand in his. He kneels and kisses her hand, formalizing their pact. The guard looks on as a brilliant light surrounds them. Overjoyed and tearful, she asks him to please give her a name. Yuno smiles, saying this is the face he wanted to see, and gives her the name Athena. She repeats her new god name, Athena, realizing tears don't suit her face. She promises that from now on, she will always be by his side and asks for his name. He tells her his name is Yuno. He introduces himself fully as Yuno Astaroth and decides it's time to start taking things more seriously. As Yuno and Athena walk through the academy grounds, they immediately become the center of attention. Other students whisper about the rumored freshman who made a pact with a stray guard, with some remarking that he'll soon regret it. Noticing the stares, Yuno turns to Athena and asks if she is all right. Athena apologizes, believing she is the cause of the unwanted attention. Yuno reassures her that everyone is simply fascinated by her beauty, which makes her blush. She then looks at him earnestly and asks if he regrets making a pact with her. Yuno emphatically tells her that he is far from regretful and is actually delighted, gushing over how unbelievably cute she is. He reflects that in the few days since their pact, he has indeed made a name for himself at the academy. However, it's not for his pact with a stray guard, but rather as the freshman who was suspended on the first day for a violent incident. Students gossip that he beat up the second son of a count, though Yuno internally corrects them, clarifying that it was just a single punch. During class, Athena peeks in through the classroom door. She beams with happiness, thinking about how she has finally made a pact with someone. Lost in thought, Yuno smiles to himself. His desk mate Alice comments on his strange expression. Alice clarifies that she isn't upset about his pact with the god. However, she warns him to be careful of Maru and his friends. Another student points out that the class has a mock battle later that afternoon, and Maru's group might use it to get back at him. From the doorway, Athena tells Yuno not to worry, reminding him that she is with him now. Yuno agrees, adding that the mock battle will be the perfect opportunity to showcase the blessings she has given him. Yuno's goal is to make the former stray god, Athena, famous and prove she is not incompetent. One of the blessings she gave him was a skill in spear arts. However, Yuno was also born with a powerful, God-given blessing of overwhelming strength from Zeus. Yuno plans his strategy. An overwhelming victory in the mock battle will raise Athena's reputation and blessing level. As rumors of her power spread, more people will want to form a pact, increasing her fame. He notes that gods can change their appearance if they have a body, but Athena currently lacks the fame and power to do so. Yuno is determined to make Athena powerful enough to dematerialize or go invisible so she won't have to wait outside the classroom. He gazes at her affectionately. His daze is broken by Alice, who tells him to come to the guidance room later, just as the mock battles are set to begin. The mock battles commence at the Ferris Magical Night Academy arena. Athena watches from the stands, asking Yuno not to overexert himself, but he confidently reassures her. Meanwhile, one of Maru's friends rallies other students, preparing to face Yuno. The instructor, Solil, announces the start of the first mock battle, explaining the rules. He tells the students they are free to choose their opponents for one-on-one matches. One of Maru's friends steps forward and calls out Yuno's name, issuing a challenge. Maru's friend challenges Yuno to a fight. Athena watches intently from the stands. From the sidelines, other students express their curiosity about how Yuno will perform, though they doubt he will fare well. Yuno and his opponent face each other in the arena. Maru's friend smirks, admiring Yuno's guts for accepting the challenge. Yuno calmly warns him not to underestimate someone who has made a pact with a god. His opponent scoffs, claiming that Yuno is no match for him. The instructor signals for the match to begin. The opponent immediately unleashes a wind blade spell, yelling for Yuno to die. From the crowd, a panicked Alice shouts for Yuno to avoid the attack. She warns that it's too dangerous to take head-on, especially given the Bayan family's aptitude for magic. To Alice's astonishment, Yuno effortlessly deflects the wind magic with his spear. His opponent, shocked and enraged, calls him an idiot as Yuno closes the distance between them. Yuno maintains a confident smirk as he prepares his counterattack. His opponent's face contorts in terror. With a single, powerful thrust, Yuno strikes his opponent, sending him flying across the arena. As he lands the blow, Yuno realizes this is the first time he has used his powers by his own will. Athena looks on in shock. The spectators are stunned that Maru's friend was downed in an instant. Yuno looks down at his hand, his heart pounding from the experience. A memory flashes through Yuno's mind of a time he lost control of his power, putting his sister in danger. He recalls that one time, he nearly killed his sister in an accidental outburst. Although he can now control the power from Zeus, he is still unaware of its upper limits. Back in the present, Yuno admits to himself that he felt a sense of excitement seeing his opponent collapse. He looks at his own hand, resolving that once he learns how to properly use this power, he will succeed. Just then, Athena's voice calls out his name. Athena rushes towards him, exclaiming that his performance was amazing and absolutely magnificent. Yuno is momentarily surprised by her reaction. He then remembers his purpose. He reminds himself that he has Athena by his side now, and she waves happily from the stands. Yuno joyfully tells Athena that the spear art skill she gave him works wonderfully. With her by his side, he feels confident that he won't go down the wrong path. Another student steps forward, telling Yuno not to get cocky and that he's next. Just as Yuno expected, he declares that it's time for a reality check. He proceeds to effortlessly defeat the challengers. Yuno stands victorious over a pile of defeated classmates. He briefly wonders if he got a bit too carried away. He quickly dismisses the thought. Athena watches with hope in her eyes, thinking that this should be enough. The crowd erupts in disbelief, amazed that Yuno defeated 10 opponents, and some even consider making a pact with his god. She realizes that today was the first step towards their new life. The next day, Yuno's victory became the talk of the academy, and as intended, Athena began to gain more attention. On the other hand, Yuno himself had become known as a troublemaker. Rumors spread that he created a bloodbath, though he knew they were all downed in a single hit. Athena excitedly calls out to Yuno, asking him to look at her. She demonstrates her new ability to float, and he praises her, noting that her divine power is improving. Nearby students scoff, calling the useless Astaroth conceited. While Athena's reputation is growing, the negative rumors about Yuno continue to spread like wildfire. Yuno decides there is no point in worrying about it for now. Yuno thinks that as long as he can see Athena's smile, he can shrug off any bad rumors. Alice tells Yuno they should get going, and he asks if their next lesson is in another classroom. Alice scolds him for not listening to a single thing the teacher said, but Yuno admits the class just bored him. Alice points towards the building next door, announcing that they are holding matchmakings at the St. Ferris Girls' Academy. Yuno is confused, asking what she means by matchmaking. Yuno stands before the impressive St. Ferris Girls' Academy. It is a prestigious academy for young ladies, mostly from aristocratic families. He learns of the tradition where students from his academy become knights to protect the girls from St. Ferris. Yuno asks Alice how they are supposed to serve students from a different academy, and she explains that today they will decide who they serve. She elaborates that classes will now be held jointly, with students working in pairs until graduation. Yuno realizes this could be a real chance to get to know a girl, and wonders how the matches are decided. Alice clarifies that the pairings are determined through the matchmaking process, which has its own set of rules. The matchmaking sessions take place in the Girls' Academy auditorium, where students meet until a satisfactory pairing is found. Alice explains that the girls receive details about the knights in advance and can nominate their choice, making the knight's role more passive. Yuno happily tells Alice he is looking forward to it. Alice looks at Yuno with a concerned expression. Yuno's confidence falters as he worries that the rumors about him will prevent anyone from wanting to talk to him. Athena notices his worry and asks if he's feeling unwell. He quickly plays it off, saying he was just admiring the building's beauty. He overhears someone commenting that girls would naturally choose a good knight over an unknown. Yuno is plagued by thoughts of his bad reputation, worrying that no one will choose him. He thinks to himself that this battlefield is a garden for the girls. Feeling unable to move forward, Alice asks Yuno why he is lagging behind. Athena cheerfully encourages Yuno to keep going, telling him it is pretty inside too. Upon their arrival, a group of girls warmly welcome Alice. Alice greets them in return, happy to see them again. Yuno notes how popular Alice is, remembering she is the daughter of a powerful marquis and was originally supposed to attend this school. One of the girls approaches and asks Alice about the people with her. Alice introduces her friend Yuno, Astaroth, and Athena, the god who made a pact with him. Yuno is left confused by the situation. The girls are instantly smitten with Athena, exclaiming over how cute she is and calling her the Bishoujo goddess. Alice, noticing Yuno has been completely ignored, awkwardly makes her exit. Yuno resolves to keep raising Athena's reputation and try to improve his own impression as well. He approaches two young ladies, greeting them politely. They note he is a freshman like them and ask if he is looking for someone, but he replies that he is just admiring the beauty of those around him. Yuno asks the two girls if they have decided who they are going to talk to, and they reply that they have not. One girl mentions she would choose Alice but acknowledges the competition for her is intense. The other says she would choose Kramer, though it is a long shot as he is second in popularity only to Alice. One of the girls then asks her friend for her thoughts on Yuno Astaroth. The girls whisper that choosing Yuno is not happening, as they have heard he is a bad troublemaker. They add that he is rumored to be the most worthless member of the respectable Astaroth family. Yuno overhears and forces a laugh. A different girl interrupts, asking for their names and saying she would like to hear about their backgrounds as well. She introduces herself, but her name is not yet revealed. Yuno storms off, furious that he is so intensely disliked. He collapses in the hallway, feeling completely at a loss. Suddenly, an angry voice shouts from a nearby room. Yuno peeks into a room, wondering if the girls are fighting, as one is being chided for being impolite. He feels like he is witnessing something he should not be seeing. He wonders why the three girls seem to be at a disadvantage against the one. The lone girl condescendingly asks if the other three did not hear her, and offers to say it one last time. The girl coldly tells the other three to get out of her sight, calling them an eyesore. Enraged, one of the bullies warns the girl she will face consequences for her words. The lone girl calmly dares them to try. She taunts them, feigning ignorance about social hierarchies and stating they cannot win by ganging up on her. The bully seethes, declaring that the girl is now in for a world of hurt. One of the bullies draws a summoning circle on the floor. The lone girl calmly asks if the three of them realize what they are doing. Small demons emerge from the summoning circle as the bullies mark her. They suggest that always ordering others around warrants a taste of her own medicine. The bullies threaten that she will regret offending them as the demons advance, then bid her farewell. Yuno feels he must intervene to help. The girl stands firm, warning the demons not to take another step. The girl glares at the demons, promising to make them regret it if they proceed. The demons hesitate, startled by her intensity. Yuno looks on in disbelief. The demons leap forward to attack the girl as Yuno looks on. Unfazed, she calmly tells him to watch closely. She reveals an ornate dagger, ready to defend herself. The girl holds the dagger to her own neck, declaring that she will not let the demons take it while she is alive. Yuno suddenly intervenes, yelling for everyone to stop as he charges forward. The girl is taken aback by his sudden appearance. Yuno swiftly defeats both demons, protecting the girl. He lands in a defensive stance after the quick battle. Yuno turns to the girl, claiming he just happened to be passing by. He returns her dagger. She accepts it, reluctantly thanking him for his help. Yuno then announces his departure. The girl stops him, asking if he intends to leave without introducing himself. Yuno pauses, contemplating the situation. He awkwardly laughs, saying he is not worthy of an introduction. He is reminded of his sister and a past plea not to banish him, the heir with a hidden talent. The memory of his sister vowing she would rather die than live in shame floods his mind. He thinks that if not for his sister's past actions, he might be living a carefree life. Having had enough trouble, his intuition tells him to get away and not get involved with this girl. As he decides to leave, she introduces herself as Luna. She formally introduces herself as Luna Flame. Yuno remains silent, contemplating his next move. Luna asks what is wrong, questioning why he is silent after she introduced herself. Yuno decides to lie, introducing himself as Maru Bayan, the second son of Count Bayan. He bows politely, stating he is pleased to meet her. Yuno feels as if he is surrounded by some kind of barrier magic. The matchmaking event is being held at the St. Ferris Girls' Academy auditorium. He has been visiting for the past week to find a match, but not a single girl has even greeted him. Athena encourages Yuno, telling him to do his best, which touches his heart. Alice is incredibly popular, being the top of her class and the daughter of a powerful family, and she skillfully manages the crowd of hopefuls. Alice explains to her admirers that she has already chosen someone to be her knight. She then recommends her childhood friend, Yuno Astaroth, to those still looking for a partner. Alice firmly tells the crowd to stop. Other students note that both Crane and Alice seem to have already chosen their partners. This realization makes Yuno feel utterly miserable and alone. Maru teases Yuno for not having been approached by anyone yet. Maru boasts that he has just turned down a bunch of girls, which Yuno knows is a lie. Maru then tells Yuno not to worry, as there's a form of aid for those who remain unpaired. Maru explains that if the matchmaking fails, they will be paired with another leftover student. The idea of being seen as unsold goods and tarnishing Athena's reputation fills Yuno with dread. He runs off, desperate to avoid bringing disgrace to his goddess. Athena tries to find a partner for Yuno, asking if anyone would be his princess. Yuno realizes Athena is working hard for his sake. She praises him as a kind, strong, and cool person. This motivates him to stop being skittish and do something. Yuno decides he cannot keep acting this way and publicly introduces himself. Athena watches as he pleads for someone to allow him to be their protector. The crowd murmurs, encouraging someone to choose him. A girl approaches Yuno and asks if he remembers her. She apologizes for suddenly disappearing during their last encounter. Yuno insists he should be the one apologizing, and she tells him not to worry about it. She smiles, expressing her gladness that he has forgiven her. She introduces herself as Einstat, telling him he can just call her Ein. Yuno is relieved that the conversation went smoothly and prepares to introduce himself again. He kneels before her, ready to accept. He realizes that Ein has chosen him. Just as Yuno prepares to formally accept Ein's offer and become her knight, the grand doors of the auditorium swing open dramatically, commanding the attention of everyone in the room. The crowd, including Alice, looks on in shock. The onlookers murmur in disbelief. The students are shocked to see the solitary moon moving through the hall. Yuno recognizes the girl as Luna Flame. Yuno asks what the fuss over the solitary moon is about. Ein explains that Luna is the daughter of Marquis Flame, one of the 4 powerful families, and her presence is extraordinary. She is known for her misanthropy and had made it clear she wouldn't partake in the matchmaking. Alice and Crane approach Luna. Alice greets Luna, saying it has been a while. Crane introduces himself as Crane Elrode, from the house of Count Elrode. Yuno realizes that both Alice and Crane came for Luna. Yuno notes that the house of Elrode is famous for valor, making Crane popular with the girls. Luna acknowledges Alice, also saying it has been a while. Alice asks if Luna has changed her mind, but Luna confirms she still wishes to be alone. However, she explains that since the rules force her to have a knight, she believes it's more meaningful to choose one herself. Crane tells Alice he cannot ignore her words and offers to be by her side, having trained to be second to none. Luna acknowledges that such rumors have reached her. Yuno mentally addresses Crane, acknowledging Alice is the top of her class and questioning if she is truly the strongest of them all. Luna states that truly strong people do not pride themselves on being strong. Alice, taken aback, asks who she considers to be actually strong. Luna confidently states that the person she is referring to is Maru Bayan. She asks Yuno if Maru is in his class. She calls for Maru Bayan to come forth, leaving him utterly bewildered. Maru smugly asks Yuno what he told him. Maru proudly announces he has come at her request, introducing himself as Maru Bayan. Luna asks who he is, and Maru can only ask for a pardon. Alice attempts to introduce Maru to Luna. Luna seems to understand something, ignoring the introduction. She then asks Alice to describe a male student with black hair and a perverted expression. Alice exclaims in realization. Ein identifies Yuno and tells Luna to bring him to her. Alice presents Yuno Astaroth to Luna, who notes that he seems to be quite the celebrity. She then tells Yuno she will give him a chance. Luna tells Yuno to become her knight. Maru is outraged, while Luna dismisses him, telling him he may leave. Alice protests, asking why Luna chose Yuno over her. Luna explains simply that she has taken a liking to this one. Maru objects, declaring it a mistake and calling Yuno the 3rd son of the famously incompetent Astaroth family. Luna recalls that Yuno Astaroth was also rumored to have caused a bloodbath during the mock battles. Maru claims that's only because he's the only freshman to have made a pact with a god. He argues that Yuno can only use his spear arts and would be incompetent without his spear. Yuno begs Maru to stop, as Luna finds the story interesting. Luna imagines giving Yuno a dagger, rendering him helpless. Maru agrees, stating Yuno's spear skills wouldn't work, and he couldn't even scratch a goblin. Luna finds this possibility absolutely intriguing. She tells Yuno she is ecstatic to hear his answer. Yuno finds her noble air refreshing but is still wary. Yuno thinks that Luna takes a lot after his older sister. He doesn't think it's a good idea to become her knight, but feels he has no other choice. Athena believes this might be her final gamble. Yuno apologizes to Luna and declares he has already decided to become Athena's knight. Athena is surprised, and Yuno quietly asks her to talk to Luna for him. Athena, filled with excitement, agrees and exclaims for them to go. Athena greets Luna and introduces herself as the one who decided to pair up with Yuno. When asked, Athena cheerfully states she is from Class 1. Luna finds this strange, as the academy only has classes named Flower, Bird, Wind, and Moon. Luna tells her to give it up and not make a fool of herself, leaving Yuno dejected. Yuno feels he can't afford to damage his reputation any further. Athena apologizes for not being of any help. Alice tells Athena she's glad she found someone and that Luna would make a wonderful princess. Alice asks Luna one last time if she still believes Yuno's ability is superior to hers. Yuno looks at Alice, acknowledging that he may never know. Luna calmly states that she doesn't believe Yuno is incompetent at all. Alice quietly accepts her answer. Yuno asks Alice why she chose this academy, realizing it was to fulfill a promise to Luna. Yuno expresses his surprise that she would take Luna's hand. Alice tells Yuno he is still a good friend, but warns that if he lets Luna get hurt, he'll have to deal with her. Luna tells Yuno to pronounce the oath. Yuno kneels and begins his oath, stating his name and family. The other students, including Crane, Alice, and Athena, watch the ceremony. Yuno swears that from this day forth, he will become the sword of Luna Flame and protect her. Luna smiles and tells Yuno she will certainly not bore him. The stern Duke Argus Flame dismisses Yuno, telling him to leave. As Yuno prepares to excuse himself, he is stopped. Another young man tells Yuno to hold his horses. At the estate of the Duke of Flame, Luna confronts her father, Argus. She reminds him that he insisted she choose any knight, but he fumes, demanding to know why she chose the incompetent Yuno Astaroth. Argus angrily recounts that Yuno is a disgrace to his family of sword saints and that even his own father has given up on him. Luna calmly defends Yuno, stating that he saved her life. She adds that Yuno's spear arts from his pact with Athena allowed him to defeat his classmates, though Yuno wishes he could go home. Argus remains unconvinced, dismissing her claims as a mere joke among students. Argus scoffs at Athena, calling her an incompetent stray goddess who couldn't form a pact for 12 years. He declares that the moment Yuno formed a pact with an unknown god, his future was sealed. Slamming his desk, Argus states that he will never accept Yuno as her knight and orders him out immediately. Yuno respectfully begins to speak. Yuno acknowledges that he is just a young man, but he is confident that his spear fighting skills are second to none. He proposes about to demonstrate his abilities, certain that Argus will be pleased with the skills he can show. Luna finds Yuno's idea excellent. She gives him her permission to go all out. Argus accepts the challenge, eager to see if Yuno is truly capable. However, he clarifies that Yuno will fight his weakest servant, and if he wins, he will be recognized as Luna's knight. Luna is surprised by the term weakest. The group moves outside to the estate grounds for the duel. As Yuno prepares with his spear, Luna warns him that she won't be able to tell if he's holding back against his opponent. Yuno reflects that Luna's sharp senses likely mean she doesn't doubt his true ability. He vows to win the match. He is determined to win for the honor of his goddess as well. He approaches his opponent and apologizes for the wait. The opponent introduces himself as Claude and expresses his pleasure at being Yuno's partner for the bout. Yuno is surprised his opponent is a butler, as Claude explains he was ecstatic to hear Luna had chosen a knight. Claude tells Yuno that Luna has finally found someone she can trust. Claude expresses reluctance about getting serious with an old man, unsure how far he will go. Argus tells Claude to give it his all. Luna urges Yuno to take the match seriously. He wonders what she means as she declares the match will begin on her signal. This gives Yuno a feeling of unease. Claude offers Yuno a word of advice. He warns Yuno not to assume he is just an old sack of bones. With that, Argus roars for the match to begin. Claude finishes his warning, telling Yuno he is sorely mistaken as he leaps into the air. In an instant, he vanishes from sight, leaving Yuno stunned. Claude reappears in a flash, launching a swift attack. Yuno barely manages to react, his face a mask of shock. Yuno blocks the powerful blow, the force of the impact resonating through the air. He realizes with astonishment that this is the so-called weakest servant. Argus shouts in disbelief that Yuno could dodge such an attack. Yuno realizes he was being naive. The two opponents face each other again. He prepares to get serious. The duel intensifies as Yuno unleashes a flurry of powerful spear thrusts. Claude, surprised, skillfully parries each one. The combatants clash again with tremendous force. Impressed, Claude asks who on earth started calling Yuno incompetent. Yuno calmly replies that he doesn't know, and counters by asking who says Claude is the weakest. Argus impatiently yells at Claude to finish him, while Luna complains they're moving too fast for her to see. The two fighters pause, acknowledging the fight is about to get rough. Yuno flexes his hand, wondering if he can keep going. Claude admits he's already fighting a little bit seriously. He announces his next attack. Yuno dodges a swift attack from Claude. He blocks another strike, their weapons clashing. Claude spins around for a powerful kick. Yuno uses the shaft of his spear to deflect the blow, sending the butler staggering back. Claude, impressed, thinks that perhaps with this opponent, he should get a little more serious. Argus laughs heartily, congratulating Claude on a well-fought, long match. Yuno reflects that he is only just beginning to understand the full extent of his own power. Yuno recalls that his past fights, from mock battles to defeating goblins, were done with little effort. But this time is different. Claude contemplates the true extent of his opponent's power. Luna interjects, telling her father that the match has yet to end. She walks onto the field and calls out to Yuno. Luna tells Yuno she doesn't dislike his unrestrained stance. In fact, she rather likes it. However, she reminds him that as the knight she chose, he is not allowed to be defeated until she gives him permission. She asks if they are clear. Yuno finds her argument absurd. Strangely, Yuno takes no offense to her words. She tells him that if he understands, he should get up at once and not rest forever. Her words get his attention. With a warm, encouraging smile, Luna tells Yuno that she knows he can do it. Her words cause him to blush. Flustered, Yuno springs to his feet. He mutters that using that face is unfair. He wishes she would just act as she normally does. Luna feigns ignorance as Yuno notes her quick change in demeanor. Nearby, Argus scolds Claude for cutting corners, but the butler curtly tells him to be silent. Claude announces that since his lord wishes for his victory, he will not hold back this time. Yuno retorts that it's quite a coincidence, as his lady also wishes for his victory. Claude gives him one last word of advice, telling him to keep his eyes on him. Yuno replies in kind. Yuno's spear begins to glow with power as he challenges Claude to try and avoid his attack. Claude looks on in shock. Yuno unleashes a massive wave of energy from his spear, sending a devastating attack hurtling towards Claude. The attack carves a massive trench through the estate grounds and the forest beyond. Claude stands at the edge of the destruction, his eye wide with shock. Argus is left speechless by the display of power. Luna simply smiles. In the aftermath of the devastating attack, Claude forfeits the match. Argus is in disbelief. He collapses to his knees. Yuno is surprised that Claude lost to him. He is satisfied that he has defended his goddess's honor. Luna approaches and tells him to be proud. Luna reveals that Yuno just defeated the only knight her father has ever had by his side. Yuno is stunned to learn this man was called the weakest. Claude adds that he was once the head of the kingdom's knights, shocking Yuno. His skill was said to be on par with previous sword saints, including Yuno's own father. Yuno asks Luna why she kept this from him, and she teasingly replies that it would have been boring otherwise. Luna explains it was a perfect chance to test him, and that she won't accept any excuses for losing. Yuno thinks to himself that she is a tricky one. She then turns to her father and asks if her decision is clear now. Defeated, Argus can only agree. And so, Yuno officially became Luna's knight. As they stand together, she asks if he is glad. He reflects that while he was initially fearful of her, serving the daughter of a great noble family might not be a bad deal for him and Athena after all. Realizing he'd rather spend more time with Luna, Yuno answers that of course he is glad. When she asks what he thinks of her, he nervously stammers that she is a great and beautiful master. Pleased with his answer, Luna agrees. She tells him to follow her to his room. Yuno is left confused by her request. Yuno asks what she meant by her previous statement. Luna clarifies that from this day forward, he will be living at the estate with them. She states that since he is her knight, it is a given. A young girl curiously asks a boy his identity. The boy, Yuno Astaroth, smiles and introduces himself as the assigned knight for Luna Arjusama, politely turning the question back to her. The girl laughs, finding it amusing that Yuno is her sister's knight, while he notes her resemblance to a younger Luna. He reflects on being officially recognized as Luna's knight and that he will now be living at the Flame family estate. Yuno learns that Luna left to find her sister and hasn't returned. He worries that the two sisters might have accidentally passed each other. Yuno is surprised that the little girl is still laughing. He finds her cute and wonders if Luna was ever so cheerful. She suddenly apologizes for the wait and offers him a drink. He thanks her, impressed by her hospitality despite her young age. She then sits on his lap, making him feel awkward as he's unaccustomed to such situations. The girl tells Yuno he has a strange feeling about him. However, she adds that she isn't scared of him. Yuno is confused by her comment. He's perplexed, as no one has ever called him scary. She announces that it's about time and gets off his lap. The girl holds her arms out expectantly. Yuno is unsure what she wants. She enthusiastically asks him to raise her. He is momentarily stunned by the unusual request. He obliges, lifting her into the air as she laughs happily. Yuno is relieved he didn't misunderstand. Now held by Yuno, the girl asks for a big hug. Yuno vehemently refuses, thinking it would be inappropriate. She asserts her authority as Luna's little sister and threatens to tell on him if he doesn't hurry up and hug her. The girl blackmails him, threatening to tell Luna that he likes little girls more than her, forcing him into a hug. Yuno is horrified by her terrifyingly manipulative tactics. As Yuno worries about being seen like this by Luna, she appears in the doorway. Luna enters the room, catching Yuno in a compromising hug with her younger sister. Both Yuno and the girl are startled by her sudden appearance. Luna stares at them with a blank expression. The little girl instantly changes her tune, running to Luna and claiming she was scared, while Yuno tries to protest. Yuno mentally curses the girl's sly acting. He stammers, trying to explain that the situation is a misunderstanding. Luna coolly asks him to clarify what it looked like. Her attention then shifts to the goblet on the table, and she asks if her sister served it. Luna calmly reprimands her sister, Elise, for what she did. She asks Yuno if he's introduced himself yet, and he confirms he hasn't. Elise then gives a formal and polite introduction as the second daughter of the House of Flame. Luna tells Yuno not to worry, as she has an idea of what Elise was trying to do, but warns him not to be fooled again. She expresses her surprise, noting that Elise is usually shy around strangers and even flees from their father. Yuno wonders what kind of person their father must be to scare his own daughter. Changing the subject, Yuno asks Luna why she made him wait. Before she can answer, she announces the arrival of another guest. A beautiful woman with long white blonde hair peeks around the door. Yuno is stunned and joyfully exclaims, recognizing her as a goddess. The goddess greets Yuno with a warm smile. Elise tackles the goddess in an enthusiastic hug, exclaiming how pretty she is. As the goddess laughs, Luna explains that staff found her wandering in front of the estate. Luna adds that since they were preparing a chamber for Athena anyway, it was fitting for her to bring her here. Yuno asks if the goddess will be staying at the estate, and Luna asks if that's not what he wanted. Luna clarifies that she is, in fact, very thankful for it. Athena smiles warmly at Yuno, telling him that she is the motive he's been looking for. Yuno confirms with a smile that she is. From another room, an elegant woman observes the group. She wonders if the boy could be Luna's knight. Luna identifies the woman as her mother, startling Yuno. He immediately bows and introduces himself, while she introduces herself as Charlotte Flame, the Duchess. She also kindly tells him he may call her Charles. Charlotte apologizes for any trouble her husband caused and promises to give him an earful, which gives Yuno insight into the family's power dynamics. She also admits she never thought Luna would find herself a knight. Elise complains that her sister is being unfair to other ladies by keeping Yuno to herself, declaring she wants him too. Athena joins the teasing, telling Elise she can't have Yuno because he is hers. Elise cries out in frustration. Elise loudly proclaims that she likes him as well. Athena tells Elise to calm down, remarking that it's no wonder she's taken a liking to Yuno since Luna chose him. Charlotte agrees and says that she has been wondering about something for a while. Charlotte asks if the guest is the Athena she has heard so much about. Athena bashfully bows and introduces herself. Charlotte praises her beauty, mentioning that her own goddess would surely be surprised to see her. Yuno questions her statement about having her own goddess. Yuno asks if this means she has also made a pact with a god. Charlotte confirms that she has. Yuno then reveals that he has made a pact with Astaroth Sama, the goddess of love and beauty. He reflects that he knew Charlotte was special upon meeting her, and is surprised she made a pact with such a renowned goddess. Astaroth is known as the goddess of love and beauty. Yuno acknowledges that Astaroth is so famous that everyone, including himself, knows her name. He reflects that he is supposed to be aware of it. Athena appears visibly shaken by the revelation. Yuno looks over at her, sensing her distress. Her hands tremble in her lap as she quietly calls out for her goddess. Yuno rushes to her side, asking what the matter is. She looks at him with panicked eyes, calling his name. Feeling responsible for her state, Yuno apologizes profusely. Suddenly, a fissure of dark energy appears in the middle of the room. Yuno looks up in shock and confusion. The dark energy coalesces into a swirling vortex. Yuno immediately warns everyone to stand back. He questions what is happening and if it is some form of magic. He quickly realizes that it's something else entirely. The dark energy takes shape, revealing it isn't something as simple as magic. Yuno watches intently as the event unfolds. A woman emerges from the darkness, asking what is going on. A woman emerges from the dark portal above the window and asks if they were talking about her. Charlotte, Luna, and Elise stare in stunned silence. The imposing figure is none other than Astaroth Sama. She gives a charming smile and greets them. A dark, ominous energy erupts in the room as a figure emerges from a portal. Yuno and Athena look on in alarm, sensing the immense power. Charlotte recognizes the newcomer, calling out the name Astaroth Sama. The figure steps forward, greeting Charlotte familiarly. Astaroth, the goddess of love and beauty, remarks that it has been 3 years. She tells Charlotte she was beginning to think she wouldn't see her favorite person again. Seeing Athena's distress, Yuno tries to reassure her that everything is all right. He then turns his attention to the newly arrived goddess. As Yuno comforts Athena, Astaroth leans in, interrupting them to ask who he might be. Athena looks up, startled by the direct question. Charlotte introduces the nervous girl as the goddess Athena. Astaroth dismissively refers to her as a stray goddess and demands to know who gave her that name. Yuno steps forward and claims responsibility. Astaroth confirms Yuno is the one she's looking for and asks why he named the girl Athena. Yuno admits he isn't sure. His response seems to intrigue her. She moves unsettlingly close, her expression turning intense as she asks who or what is residing within him. While Charlotte and her daughters watch in confusion, Yuno questions what she means. Astaroth clarifies that she's asking about the presence inside of him. Yuno wonders what game the goddess is playing. Yuno remains baffled by her question. Finding his confused response boring, Astaroth's playful demeanor shifts, and she reaches out a hand towards him. Suddenly, Astaroth unleashes a powerful blast of dark energy directly at Yuno. Reacting in an instant, Yuno counters the blast with a powerful punch of his own. Realizing the sheer force of the attack, Yuno is forced to put some of his real power into the counter. He deflects the energy beam, sending it careening away. The blast narrowly misses the building as it flies outside. In the aftermath of the attack, Charlotte cries out in alarm, demanding to know why Astaroth would do such a thing. Yuno stands defensively, shielding Athena from the danger. Astaroth's serious expression breaks into a wide, cheerful smile as she announces that he has passed. Her sudden change in demeanor leaves everyone else completely confused. Astaroth explains that since Yuno is the knight to Charlotte's daughter, she wanted to examine him personally to see if he was suitable. She compliments the choice, remarking that the girl has a keen eye for people. Yuno humbly accepts the compliment. With her business concluded, Astaroth announces her departure. Before disappearing, she addresses Yuno by his full name, promising that they will meet again. She vanishes back into the portal. Yuno reflects on the odd sense of unease he felt from Astaroth. Athena apologizes for causing him worry. He reassures her that he is fine. Athena tries to rationalize Astaroth's actions as concern for her pact holders. He tells her it's a relief to hear, though she privately seems to doubt her own words. Recalling Astaroth's parting words, Yuno's expression becomes serious. He can't shake the feeling that something is wrong, suspecting she may not be a true deity. In a dark chamber surrounded by flames, a man with long dark hair sits on a throne. He rests his head on his hand, muttering about how bored he is. As the man sits brooding on his throne, a voice from the darkness appears. The voice remarks on his perpetually irritated and dark expression. The visitor is revealed to be Astaroth, and the man on the throne asks what she wants. She playfully comments on his lonesome existence, suggesting she'd die of boredom in his place. Unimpressed, he sternly repeats his question. Astaroth tells him she wants to ask about stray gods. He asks for an explanation. She describes them as unnamed gods born in the lower world, around the same time they both arrived. Astaroth presses him, asking if he's hiding something from her. She complains about how awful it is to be kept in the dark. She suggests that he must be bored as well, implying they should stir up some excitement. She laments that even with all their power, they are unsatisfied because no one can compete with them. She then asks what they should do, addressing him as Lucifer. He coldly tells her to be silent. Ignoring his command, Astaroth launches an attack at Lucifer. He effortlessly catches the blast with a single hand. The force of the impact sends Astaroth flying backward, but she laughs with delight. She exclaims that his power is just as she expected. She lands in a heap of rubble. Sitting up, Astaroth chides Lucifer for his bad temper. He ignores her taunts and asks what happened in the overworld. She evasively replies that nothing particular occurred. He remains silent and suspicious. Astaroth remarks that she is no match for the supreme god. As Lucifer turns away, she slyly suggests that perhaps another name would suit him better. She proposes the title of the demon lord, Satan Sama. The name clearly angers Lucifer. This brings a satisfied smile to Astaroth's face. Having been provoked, Lucifer vanishes in a burst of flame. Left alone, Astaroth decides it might be a good idea to seek the answers herself. She conjures a magical vision. Her attention turns back to Yuno. Astaroth muses that she has found an interesting new toy to play with. She is surprised that a human possesses the ability to repel her attacks. She declares that she has great expectations for Yuno Astario. As a young boy, Yuno sits in a vast library, searching through books for information about an old man he remembers as Zeus. Yuno doesn't believe the man was a stray god. The search seems to trigger a painful reaction, as a powerful energy begins to surge within him. Once the feeling subsides, Yuno dismisses it as the least of his worries. He recalls the bigger problem at hand, being born with powers far beyond human control. This is a memory that stretches back to his very birth. In a flashback, a crying baby Yuno is met by an old man who reassures the infant he means no harm. The man wishes to make a pact with him. He offers to bestow his power upon the child, free of any restrictions. The infant Yuno agrees to the free offer. Yuno now regrets being so rash. The old man introduces himself as Zeus. He departs with a sad expression. Back in the present, Yuno wonders about the man's sorrow. Someone calls his name, interrupting his thoughts. His father, Mero Astario, appears and tells him it's past time for practice. Yuno apologizes, explaining he was doing research. His father scolds him for neglecting his swordsmanship training, noting his lack of magical aptitude. He asks Yuno why he can't do anything right. Yuno quietly tells him he'll head to the training hall. He tries to convince himself that he doesn't care about being called incompetent. Yuno thinks he isn't in the mood for this. Suddenly, his sister, Rei Astario, appears and swings a practice sword at him, commending his quick reaction. Yuno asks if they can stop pretending to be knights. He explains that when attacked suddenly, his powers begin to unleash reflexively, and it would be better for a promising sword saint candidate like her to train alone. Rei misunderstands, tearfully asking if he has come to hate her. As they continue to spar, Rei challenges him to avoid her next strike. She praises him for reading her moves perfectly. Rei is convinced that he has some hidden talent, but Yuno knows this is bad as he struggles to keep his powers in check. Rei encourages Yuno not to worry about what their father or others say, as his powers continue to build. She believes he will become a good knight, but Yuno fights to suppress the overwhelming energy. As she calls him her pride and joy, Yuno's powers surge. A massive surge of power erupts from Yuno. He instinctively shields his sister, pushing her away from the blast. In the aftermath, Rei is stunned by what just happened. Yuno, his clothes torn from the force, rushes to her side to make sure she wasn't injured. Moved, Rei tearfully calls his name. She asks if he did all of that just to protect her. Rei tearfully thanks and hugs Yuno, but he laments that he has made himself into a terrible self-made man. The commotion brings their father, who reaffirms his decision to banish the incompetent Yuno. Rei argues fiercely against it, but her father is resolute. Yuno internally reveals that being banished from the Astaroth house was his plan all along. He believes his immense power is too dangerous to coexist with human society. He intends to live a quiet life alone, though he feels bad for his sister. Meanwhile, another boy appears, asking Rei what she is doing. Rei defends her brother, insisting that Yuno has a hidden talent, and that banishing the true successor would be a disgrace to the family. Their father rages, feeling betrayed that he trusted her word. Rei declares she would rather give up her life than live with such shame. Their father argues that Yuno's lack of effort means he has no chance for growth. He adds that it will be difficult for Yuno to enroll in the Ferris Academy of Magical Knights. Seizing on this, Rei asks if he would withdraw the banishment if Yuno were admitted. Swearing on the family name, she declares that if Yuno fails and brings disgrace, she will pay for it with her own life. Mero agrees to the terms, telling Rei he will show no mercy since she swore on the family's name. Yuno is horrified, realizing his future is being decided for him. He thinks he doesn't even want to attend the academy. He resolves that he must protest right now. Yuno shouts his disagreement. Yuno jolts awake, having shouted in his sleep. Sitting up in bed, he realizes it's morning. Now older, Yuno enjoys the comfort of a soft bed in a spacious room, a stark difference from the Astaroth estate. He reflects that he has been living a satisfying life as a knight for the past few days in the Flame estate and finds it quite nice. He thinks about how his new life is convenient, with an easy commute to Ferris Academy. Most importantly, he's happy that the girl he refers to as Kami-sama lives right next door. This means he can see her whenever he wishes, not just at the academy. Yuno observes that Kami-sama seems to be enjoying her new life, marveling at simple things like food and a soft bed. He is grateful to Luna. He muses that his life would be perfect, if not for one particular problem. The problem is Elise, who is sleeping soundly in his bed. Yuno finds her cute, but only when she's talking in her sleep. He realizes his room has become her personal playground. As he gets ready for the academy, she wakes up and asks if he's leaving. Elise asks if Yuno cares more about her older sister than her. Yuno thinks her question is cute, but he knows it's a trap. He kneels and assures Elise that he cares for both her and Luna equally. Elise then presses further, asking if he also loves her. Yuno sees what she's trying to do. Elise insists she won't accept his answer unless it's in his own words. Feeling defeated by this devil in an angel's skin, Yuno prepares to answer. He reluctantly confesses that he does love her. With a triumphant smirk, Elise acknowledges his confession, signaling that it's all over for him. With a snap of her fingers, Elise uses magic. She broadcasts a message throughout the entire estate, declaring that Yuno cares for her. The message continues, broadcasting Yuno's confession of love for Elise, causing shock and surprise among the staff. A man is overcome with rage. An attendant remarks on Elise's highly accurate sound magic, confirming she's a prodigy. Elise's enraged father bursts into the room, demanding to know what Yuno is trying to do to his daughter. Yuno thinks to himself that he can't stand this family. As the man prepares to strike, Yuno looks to the doorway for help. Yuno calls out to Kami-sama. She has appeared at the door. Elise's father continues to threaten him. Yuno sees her as the only person who can save him from this situation. The girl, now in an academy uniform, calmly says it's time to go. Yuno happily agrees, leaving the fuming man behind. He reflects that before enrolling in the academy, he never would have believed he'd be so eager to attend classes. Yuno walks with the two girls, accepting that this is his new, chaotic daily life. Students murmur as they spot Luna arriving on the academy grounds. Her stunning appearance and graceful presence captivate everyone around her. Luna is introduced as the top student and eldest daughter of the Duke of Flame. Her mere presence turns heads, earning her the title Empress of Ferris Joe. Yuno reflects that her popularity likely brings her a fair share of hardships from those who envy her. Athena confides in Yuno, mentioning she feels like she's been getting a lot of stares recently. Yuno encourages Athena to take a good look at the people watching them. He points out that their expressions are not of malice, but of admiration. Overwhelmed by the positive attention, Athena becomes flustered. Yuno lightheartedly tells her to act more dignified, like Luna. Another student confirms that any glares were probably meant for Yuno. Yuno overhears other students questioning his position as Luna's knight, making him question his own judgment. He had hoped becoming Luna's knight would turn the scorn he receives into respect, but it seems things aren't that simple. Yuno tells Luna he is leaving for now. Luna thanks him and says she will be waiting for him to pick her up. Walking with Athena, Yuno observes that her reputation is growing, regardless of his own. Athena affirms with a smile that she is confident her decision that day was the right one. Athena says goodbye to Yuno, telling him she is heading off to her prayers. Yuno watches her go before turning to leave himself. He spots Luna talking with another girl nearby. Yuno continues on his way into the academy. A girl with a blonde bob, Alice, greets Yuno. Alice asks if Luna is doing okay. Yuno replies that she is, more or less. Alice mentions seeing Yuno and Ain together earlier, noting they seemed to get along well. She adds that she was surprised to hear he chose Ain in the matchmaking. Yuno reminds himself that he is Ain's knight and should refer to her formally. Yuno asks Alice if she had known Ain before, and she replies that she met her for the first time at the matchmaking. Alice silently processes the information. Alice thinks to herself that it makes sense Yuno would be drawn to a sweet girl like Ain, but she still finds it surprising. The teacher enters and tells the students to take their seats. He announces that he's collecting applications for the joint training camp. Yuno stares in shock, having forgotten about the deadline. Alice asks him about the form, realizing with concern that he was unaware it was due. Yuno frantically searches through his messy desk. He finally pulls out a crumpled application form. A classmate urges Yuno to pass his form forward, asking if he and Ain will be attending. Hearing this, Alice decides she will also participate. Yuno questions her for submitting the form without telling Luna, but Alice reasons that Luna would be fine if Yuno and Ain are there. With a grim smile, Yuno explains that the camp is an extracurricular activity focused on surviving for 3 days and 2 nights in the forest of the divine beasts. Yuno runs to the teacher's desk, intending to withdraw his application. Solil-sensei interrupts him with a menacing glare and asks what he wants. Flustered, Yuno quickly changes his story, pretending he was confirming that he'd had enough time to discuss it. He trails off, deciding it's best to just drop the subject. Yuno bows apologetically to Luna for suddenly involving her in the training camp. Luna says she doesn't mind, as she was planning to go anyway. Her unexpected response leaves Yuno speechless. Luna calmly says she's looking forward to the trip, viewing it as a simple camping excursion. While Elise playfully chokes him, Yuno worries that it will be too tough for the inexperienced Luna. Luna calmly tells her sister to stop, explaining that she's having an important conversation with Yuno. Elise protests, asking Yuno if he really minds her playing with him. Caught in the middle, Yuno apologizes to Elise. Yuno lets Elise sit on his lap, promising they can play later. Elise gives her sister a triumphant, smug grin. Luna stares back at her, clearly unamused. An awkward silence hangs between Yuno and Luna. Yuno breaks the silence, asking if there's anything else she needs to tell him. He tentatively asks if her father, Argo-sama, would really allow her to participate. He explains that he heard the main reason for low attendance is parental concern. Luna dismisses his worry, stating her father would approve and that her mother is already excited for her, causing Yuno to question who truly runs the household. Elise asks Yuno where he is going, and he tells her about the school camp. Luna corrects his phrasing from might go to will go, which excites Elise. Luna flatly refuses to let Elise come, but Elise appeals directly to Yuno. Elise hugs Yuno tightly, asking if he wants her there. Yuno is overwhelmed by how cute she is. Luna sternly calls out Elise's name, cutting the moment short. With a cold expression, Luna tells Elise that she is not going. Elise shouts that her sister is being unfair. She complains that Luna always gets to do what she wants. Luna insists the camp is only for studies and is nothing special. Elise smirks slyly, questioning if her sister is being entirely truthful. Yuno suggests he could apologize to the teacher and perhaps get their participation cancelled. Luna observes that he doesn't seem happy about her participating in the camp. Yuno quickly tries to backtrack, saying that's not what he meant. Luna pointedly asks if the issue is that he wouldn't enjoy it if she came along. The realization of his mistake dawns on Yuno. Yuno quickly reassures Luna that he is all for her participating in the camp. Luna looks at him, waiting for an explanation. He explains that the forest is renowned for its abundance of magical beasts, and he feels it's too dangerous a place for her. Yuno confirms that this is what has been bothering him. Luna closes her eyes and calmly states that she sees no problem. Yuno looks determined to press his point. With complete confidence, Luna asks Yuno a simple question: "You will protect me, right?" Yuno remembers her unwavering gaze as she said those words. He admits to himself that in the end, he could not counter her statement. And so, with the matter settled, the day of the training camp arrived. A fish is speared midair. A younger Yuno proudly holds up his catch, while a girl with animal ears applauds him. The girl admires the large, fatty fish, as Yuno tells her not to eat too much. As she eats, Yuno decides to try and catch another. He splashes back into the water. The scene ends on a cliffhanger, with Yuno looking surprised and the identity of the animal-eared girl remaining a mystery. In a flashback to his childhood, a young Yuno confronts a girl with animal ears who is eating the fish he just caught. The girl apologizes, confirming the fish were his. He wonders aloud if she might be from a nearby village. Yuno warns her that the area is dangerous, asking if she is out here all alone. His concern seems to catch her by surprise. The girl enthusiastically asks for seconds. Seeing her hunger, Yuno relents and tells her she can have the rest of his catch. He decides he will just have to go catch more, marveling that he's never seen someone eat fish raw before. He figures that's more than enough excitement for one day. He unleashes a surprisingly powerful swing that kicks up leaves and wind around him. The girl watches him, surprised by the display of power. In the present, Yuno returns to his campsite where Athena greets him warmly. Ain thinks to herself how nice it is to be welcomed back. Ain emerges from their shelter, noting that he has returned earlier than she expected, and Yuno greets her formally. Yuno asks if everything was all right while he was gone, and Ain hesitates before answering. She explains that a massive beast, considerably taller than the trees, was watching them from a distance. A shocked Yuno immediately asks if it could have been a demonic beast. Yuno asks if it was a divine beast. Athena clarifies that she felt divine powers emanating from it, and Yuno agrees that this makes sense as they are in the forest of divine beasts. He checks the protective barrier spell Alice taught him and finds it working perfectly, concluding the beast wasn't hostile. Still, he wonders why it would show itself at all, questioning if it was hungry. Ain dismisses the incident as nothing much and suggests they start preparing dinner. Yuno apologizes for his absence and offers to help. Ain rolls up her sleeves and firmly states that his help will not be necessary. Athena playfully tosses a fish into the air. Ain and Athena prepare the fish for dinner. While Yuno tends to the campfire, he watches them work. Watching them, Yuno feels content with his current life. He then seems to be called out to, breaking his reverie. Two new arrivals, Alice and Luna, appear at the edge of their camp, greeting everyone. They explain that they were also looking for an uncrowded spot by the river. The groups talk about what a coincidence it is, with Luna noting that, like Yuno and Ain, she and Alice have known each other since they were children. As Luna and Alice get settled, Ain and Athena watch from a distance, deciding not to interfere. Yuno questions if Luna has ever cooked before, and Ain admits she's not sure. From afar, Luna and Alice overhear them and call them out. Alice apologizes for the disturbance and says they will be leaving. Her decision to leave so soon surprises Luna. Athena takes the opportunity to invite them to join their group for dinner. Luna asks Alice why she is leaving so soon. Alice and Luna happily accept the offer. Just as they are settling in, another person arrives, cheerfully greeting everyone. Yuno recognizes the newcomer as Crame. Crame formally kneels to greet Luna. She quickly dismisses the formalities, telling him she is busy. Yuno watches, noting that Crame is the same as ever. Crame stands and turns to Yuno, noting they haven't seen each other since the matchmaking event. The two formally introduce themselves, Crame Elrod of the Elrod family and Yuno Astario, third son of the Astario family. Crame extends a hand, happy to finally meet him. They shake hands and agree to be on a first-name basis. Crame tells Yuno he wants to cut to the chase and ask him a question. Crame reveals he can sense magic in the area and asks if Yuno is responsible for the barrier spell. Yuno confirms that he is, explaining that he asked Alice to teach him a beast-warding spell before the camp began. Their conversation is cut short when Athena calls out that dinner is ready. Yuno invites Crane to join them for dinner. He suggests it would be better for them to work together as a team, which makes Crane pause and consider the offer. After a moment of thought, Crane accepts Yuno's invitation to dinner. Shortly after, a large steaming platter of grilled fish is served. The group looks on in amazement at the feast. As the group gathers around the fire, Athena modestly asks if she cooked the fish correctly, having never done it before. Yuno is especially excited to try his goddess's first homemade meal. He eagerly digs in, taking a large bite. He freezes with a look of utter shock. Internally, Yuno recoils, wondering what on earth he just ate. When Athena and Ain ask for his opinion, he is put on the spot. He forces a smile and loudly proclaims that it's delicious, a perfect harmony of flavors. His praise reassures the girls, and Athena suggests Luna and Ain try it as well. Crane quietly signals his agreement with Yuno's covert assessment. To save everyone else from the terrible meal, Yuno begins devouring all the fish himself. Crane quickly catches on and joins in, grabbing Yuno and apologizing to the girls, claiming the food was so tasty they couldn't help themselves. He then declares they will be back in a moment and dashes off with Yuno, leaving the flattered but confused girls behind. Later, Yuno and Crane relax in a hot spring, where Yuno thanks Crane for saving him back there. From the other side of a wooden fence, the girls mention that it's a secret hot spring built by their seniors. Yuno realizes the girls are bathing just on the other side. He has to fight the temptation to use his magic to peek over the fence. Crane calls his name, snapping him out of it. As they soak under the full moon, Crane asks Yuno if he and Luna-sama are getting along well. Yuno is hesitant, replying that he supposes so since he hasn't been dismissed yet. Crane listens to his response. He then quietly tells Yuno that he is quite envious of him. Crane confesses that, to be honest, he was very frustrated during the matchmaking event. Yuno looks up at the moon and asks if Crane has feelings for Luna. Crane seems uncertain, admitting he's not so sure about that himself. Crane explains that he has always had a feeling of longing for Luna. It's something he's felt since he was a little boy. He really wanted her to take notice of his ability, which is why he's worked so hard. He then tells Yuno that because of this, there is something he needs to check with him. Crane directly asks Yuno why he feels the need to play the role of an incompetent. Yuno is taken aback by the question. Crane points out that the only skill Yuno supposedly received from the goddess was spearmanship, yet he also claimed to have cast the Holy Field. He explains that Yuno claimed he learned it from Alice, but Holy Field is a high-level spell. He asserts that for someone proclaimed as incompetent, this is not something that could be done through simple imitation. Crane adds that Alice is the only known student in their grade who can handle such powerful magic. He recalls the look Alice gave Yuno, realizing its significance. He speculates that Luna must have discovered the true power Yuno has been hiding, which is why she chose him. Yuno tries to deflect with a smile. Crane questions the point of putting himself down. Yuno's expression turns serious as he declares that he will no longer hide his ability. He explains that he kept his power secret because he was afraid of losing his mind and hurting someone. He admits he never had heroic aspirations, which led to the rumors about him. But that fear is now gone, as he has found a clear purpose to use his true ability. With an image of the goddess Athena in his mind, Yuno states that his purpose is to promote her to become a supreme deity. This is the path and the decision he has made. Crane listens to Yuno's declaration. He notes the serious look in Yuno's eyes. He understands, remarking that their situations are the same then. They both have a reason to persist in achieving their goals. Crane suddenly stands up out of the water, his body tense. A startled Yuno asks what's the matter. Crane turns to him and says he has a favor to ask. Standing in the hot spring under the full moon, Crane looks at Yuno and asks if he wants to go at it. He clarifies that he is challenging Yuno to a duel.